Good morning. Welcome to Sunday, August 9th. Today we're going to end our last lesson on uniqueness. And the topic today is the silence. And we're going to talk about how there's power in being quiet and listening. To start out, I'm going to share my pows and my wows. My wow, I'm going to have to say it right here where I am right now, being at the lake. And I thought I would do this on the boat because it's kind of a calm day today, and we're talking about being outdoors. So that is my wow. I also went Monday to Lake Michigan. I found a little beach just southwest of South Haven called Pilgrim Beach, and I found a whole bunch of rocks to paint, and I could take my dog Zoe. It was her first time seeing the big lake, and she loved it. My pow. My pow today is prayers for my sister-in-law, Amy Flora Smith, for my nephew Hayden Smith, for my mom, Fontaine Beauvais Bradley. I'm sending out extra love and strength for them and for myself. My brother passed away July 24th, and we're all just kind of getting by and dealing with his loss, but knowing he is in a better place now. But prayers to especially my sister-in-law and my nephew. Our affirmation today goes right along with the topic. It says, I'll get this up here so you can see this. In the silence, God speaks to me. I listen to God. Well, today, our meditation, which I'm going to read to you, it's a little bit longer than usual, but I shall read it. Now we have an opportunity to do what our affirmation tells us. It's time for our meditation, the time we listen to what God has to say to each of us. I'd like each of you to find your own space. You may sit in a chair or on the floor. You may even lie down on the floor. I invite you now to still your hands and feet. Now gently close your eyes and fully relax your body by pretending it's a wet, limp dish rag. Feel yourself sink into the floor or the chair and allow it to fully support your entire body. In a little while, I will stop talking and we will go into the silence. When we are silent, we can best hear what God has to say to us. When we are silent, we try to focus on God and what God has to say. You probably won't hear a voice when you hear God. Often, it's just a warm feeling or an idea or a sense of knowing. Sometimes when we are silent, it can be hard to focus on listening to God. It's important for us to have something to refocus on when our mind wanders to what we're going to be doing after church or the health of our pets or what's going to happen when school starts. Sometimes it's helpful to say a word or a few words inside of your mind over and over and over again to stay focused on listening to God. So, when you go into the silence, you can say in your mind over and over again, I'm listening, God. I'm listening, God. I'm listening, God. And when we all go into the silence, it may seem like a long time to you. If it does, simply keep repeating in your mind, I'm listening, God. I'm listening, God. Let's go into the silent now. I'm listening, God. I'm always eager to hear what you have to say to me. I'm eager to hear what you want me to do. Now, let's gently bring our focus back to our bodies by wiggling a finger or a toe, and then our hands and our feet. And now that we're fully present in this moment, let's all open our eyes and come back together. Thank you, God. I'll keep listening. Okay, so that was a little longer time today than usual, but I really want you to focus on that silent time. Although I did hear some lake noises going on, but they were wonderful. The kids over at the camp, especially. Now, today our story is called Samuel Hears a Voice. Now, Samuel is a little boy who hears God talking to him. Now, let's see what he does with this. Samuel hears a voice. Now that God's people were living in their own land, there were so many things he wanted to tell them. How to be happy, how to take care of each other, how to protect themselves from their enemies. So God decided to choose someone to speak for him, someone he could talk to, who would then go and talk to the people, someone called a prophet. God looked and he looked all over the land of Israel, eager to pick just the right person. And finally, he found him in the village of Shiloh, in the house of Eli, the priest. A little boy. Samuel, God called one night. Samuel, I want to talk with you. Samuel sat up and he rubbed his sleepy eyes. He'd never heard God's voice before, and he thought that old Eli was calling him. Samuel stumbled into Eli's room to see what he wanted, but Eli just shooed him back to bed. Samuel, God called again. Samuel, listen. Samuel was confused this time and a little scared. So he crept back into Eli's room. I told you, boy. Oh, yawned the old priest. I didn't call you. Now off to bed. Samuel didn't know what to think as he crawled under his covers. But when God called, Samuel, Samuel, for the third time, he knew what to do. He dashed back to Eli just as fast as he could. Samuel, sighed Eli, if either of us is going to get any sleep tonight, we need to find out who's calling you. And I have an idea who it might be. So the next time you hear that voice, I don't want you to come running in here. Instead, I want you to say, speak, Lord, and I will listen. Samuel's eyes opened wide. You mean it's God who's calling me? Do as I tell you, said Eli, and we'll find out. So Samuel went back to bed. God called his name again. This time, Samuel stayed there and he listened to God, and his eyes opened wide with wonder. And from that moment until Samuel was himself an old man, God talked to Samuel, giving him messages to pass on to the people. And just like the first time, God's messages never failed to leave him wide-eyed with wonder. I really love this story. Okay, so God wanted his people to know what? How to be happy, how to take care of each other, and how to protect themselves from their enemies. Those are the three things he really wanted them to know. When does God speak to you? I have really been paying attention to this. I've had a lot of things going on in my life, not just the COVID, but like I mentioned earlier, when my brother passed, I worked in my yard, and I worked for 10 hours straight. 10 hours. It looks really good, by the way. But that's when God talks to me. I just get in this meditative rhythm of doing things, and I just start hearing this voice. And it's more like a knowing or a warm feeling, just like this text described. So when does God speak to you? I don't know. And how does God speak through you? I bet you know this one. I know all of the kids at Unity are very kind. And I think he speaks through you by you showing compassion, kindness, and caring to those around you. Whether it just be a smile, or offering a cookie in your lunch, or offering assistance to someone who may need it. When can you go into the silence? Do you have to be out on a boat to do this? No. Do you have to be in bed with everything quiet? Not necessarily. You can go on a walk. You could maybe watch a sunrise or a sunset. You could do like I do, gardening, or perhaps while planting flowers, or just basking in the sun at the beach. Now, I have to look back at my little notes here. Oh yeah, our creative experience. What I want you to do, I know it's supposed to be raining today. I'm actually filming this on Wednesday. But on Sunday, I know it's supposed to be raining. But what I would like you to do when the rain stops is to go out on a silent, meditative walk. What I want you to do, you can just walk around your yard if you need be, or you can go to one of the wonderful trails we have in the Kalamazoo area. And I want you to focus on nature. You can either use your eyes and take in how a tree with a flower looks, or maybe a bird or a butterfly or the clouds in the sky. And then when you get back, you can draw a picture of your scene. What touched you the most in your heart? Now, if you don't feel like drawing, another thing you could do is on this walk, you could look for signs of nature, things that you can collect. Maybe it's a pine cone or a feather. Maybe it's a favorite rock, or it could be just a neat stick. And then go home and make a collage out of that. So that's going to be your creative experience today. As we get ready to close, I would like to do our prayer of protection together. Now, you know the prayer of protection's used in Unity a lot, and it's to remind us that God is always with us, and He is. So let's do it. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God. Now, I want you to remember our affirmation for today. It's a good one. It's simple, but it's a good one. Can you see this? It says, "In the silence, God speaks to me. I listen to God." So it doesn't mean that you can't not hear God when it's busy and noisy, but it helps if you just settle down, relax, take a deep breath, get calm and quiet. It will really help you. And as you go into the next week, remember, you are loved, special, and important to me. I miss all of your smiling faces. Namaste.